The old thrones are now crumbling, stone by stone, power structures, and you are witnessing this in real time. Kings who seemed eternal, they are begging. Rulers who seemed undefeatable, they are in turmoil. Systems that seemed permanent, they are collapsing under their own weight, just like in Ozymandias's poem. And as they fall, something new is rising, not from their ashes, from within you, a throne not bound by their traces. A crown that needs no approval from them, power from a source they could never control, higher frequency and higher human. You felt it, didn't you? That shift, as if the ground of reality moved, as if the rules suddenly changed. As if the game everyone was playing suddenly changed and a new game began, a game where your role is completely different. You're no longer watching from the sidelines. You're waiting for permission. You're asking if you're ready, because the throne that is rising, it's yours. It doesn't matter if you feel ready or not. It's happening anyway. Let me show you what's really happening, because most people see chaos and think it's random. But you understand the pattern. You see the transformation. While others only see what's dying, you see what's being born. If you're aware of what's being born, write "I accept" in the comments now and watch. There's a moment in every story where everything falls apart, where the beautiful dress becomes rags, where the carriage becomes a pumpkin, where magic seems to run out and you're standing there exposed, vulnerable, questioning everything. That's not the end of the story. That's the turning point. That's when false power reveals itself as temporary. That's when external validation shows its true face as illusion. That's when you discover what you're actually made of. The old thrones were built on illusion. They looked solid because everyone agreed to see them as solid. They seemed powerful because everyone consented to be ruled by them. They appeared eternal because nobody questioned whether they should exist. But you questioned, and questioning is how illusions shatter. You stopped believing in their permanence. You stopped accepting their authority. You stopped pretending their power was real. And the moment you stopped believing, the spell broke, not just for you, for everyone connected to your consciousness. Because that's how collective reality works. When enough individuals wake up, the whole structure shifts. When enough people see through the illusion, it can't maintain itself. You've been in the servants' quarters your whole life, working, serving, building their empire while yours stayed dormant, cleaning their messes while your own gifts gathered dust, making them look good while your own light stayed hidden. That wasn't accident, that was preparation. You needed to see the structure from the inside. You needed to understand how power flows through systems. You needed to learn how thrones are actually maintained, through consent, through belief, through the agreement of those who serve them. And now you know. You've seen behind the curtain. You've watched the machinery. You've observed how the sausage gets made. You understand that thrones aren't sustained by the people sitting on them. They're sustained by the people believing in them. Take away belief, the throne collapses. Withdraw consent, power evaporates. Stop serving, the whole system stops. That's what's happening right now, not just to you, to millions. A collective withdrawal of consent, a mass awakening from the spell. A synchronized refusal to keep serving systems that don't serve them back. The old rulers feel it. They can sense the shift. They're doing everything to maintain the illusion. More force, more control. More desperate attempts to keep people believing. But desperation reveals weakness. And once people smell weakness in what they thought was strong, the throne is already fallen. The transformation chamber. You've been in the fire. Don't pretend you haven't. You've been broken down, stripped of everything you thought defined you. Had your identity shattered, faced darkness you didn't know you contained. That wasn't punishment. That was transformation. You can't wear a crown if you're still attached to the rags. You can't sit on a throne if you're still identifying with servitude. You can't rule if you're still enslaved to approval. The fire burns away everything that isn't you, everything you borrowed from others, every identity you inherited, every belief system you absorbed without questioning. If this resonance is shaking the foundations of who you thought you were, subscribe to this channel and like this video. Join the collective of those who refuse to stay broken. Every pattern you adopted to survive in systems that weren't designed for your thriving. It hurts. Transformation always does. The caterpillar doesn't enjoy dissolving into soup. The seed doesn't celebrate cracking open. The snake doesn't find shedding skin comfortable. But it's necessary, essential, the only way to become what you actually are instead of what you've been pretending to be. You've been in the dark, alone, questioning if the transformation was real or if you were just losing your mind. Wondering if you'd emerge as something greater or just emerge more broken. Doubting whether the throne you sense rising is real or just a desperate fantasy to cope with the pain. It's real. The throne is real. The transformation is real. The power awakening inside you is real. You're not going crazy. You're becoming sane in an insane system. You're not losing yourself. You're finding who you were before the world told you who to be. And that self, that original, uncorrupted, powerful self, that's who sits on the throne, not the person you pretended to be. Not the version that kept everyone comfortable. Not the diminished shadow that made others feel superior. The real you. The one they couldn't control, the one they tried to keep hidden, the one they hoped would never wake up. You didn't do this alone, even if you felt that way. There were forces helping you, a consciousness you couldn't see but could feel. Synchronicities that were no coincidence, people appearing exactly when you needed them, with exactly what you needed. When guidance from outside fails, the wisdom that emerges from within. Your wisdom is unrelated to the concrete things you learned within social rules. A flow from the higher spirit guides you. This is how transformation works. When you sincerely decide to become who you truly are, the universe conspires to support you. Not because you are special, because you are aligned. You move with the flow of evolution, not against it. You cooperate with reality instead of resisting it. So what about your throne? It is built on harmony, on cooperation with what is real, on moving with the flow instead of swimming against the current. This is effortless power. It is sustainable power. Because there is no forcing, it is an unexhaustible authority. You've already noticed this. When you stop resisting, things flow. When you stop forcing, doors open. When you stop controlling, solutions emerge. This is not luck. This is harmony. This is acting with your true authority instead of borrowing it. Share with us in the comments a moment when you felt your authority the most. Ed Power. The helpers aren't servants. They're collaborators. They're consciousness recognizing consciousness. They're players acknowledging players. They're the universe saying, yes, this one is ready. This one has done the work. This one deserves the throne. And they're showing up everywhere, in unexpected conversations, in books that find you, in opportunities that materialize, in support that arrives from strange directions, in synchronicities that confirm you're on the right path, in signs that you're not crazy for believing you're meant for something greater. Because you are meant for something greater. The throne isn't metaphor, it's real power to shape reality, real authority to influence outcomes, real capacity to create change, not through force, through presence, through authentic power that doesn't need to prove itself because it's undeniable. The ball begins. Now comes the recognition phase, where those who dismissed you start noticing something different, where those who ignored you start paying attention, where those who diminished you start feeling the shift in power. They don't understand what changed. You look the same, you're doing similar things, but something fundamental is different. Your energy, your presence, your gravity. You've stopped seeking their approval. You've stopped needing their validation. You've stopped performing for their acceptance. And that shift? That's magnetic. Authentic power attracts. Real authority compels. True sovereignty draws people in because it's so rare. Most people are performing, pretending, wearing masks, running programs. You're not doing that anymore. You're being actual, and actual is intoxicating to people who've only experienced pretense. They're going to approach you differently, treat you with more respect, offer you opportunities they would have withheld before. Seek your opinion when they used to dismiss it. Value your presence when they used to take it for granted. Not because you demanded it, because you embody it. You carry yourself like royalty because you recognize your own authority. You speak with certainty because you trust your inner knowing. You move with purpose because you understand your mission. The old throne holders will notice. They'll feel the competition. They'll sense your rising. Some will try to suppress it. They'll throw obstacles, create complications, test your resolve, try to make you doubt yourself, attempt to pull you back into servitude. That's their panic, their desperation, their recognition that thrones are being redistributed, and they might lose theirs. They're not actually stronger than you. They just had a head start, and they leveraged your consent to maintain their position. But you withdrew consent, and without your cooperation, their throne wobbles. Other old throne holders will recognize you. They'll see authentic power and respect it. They'll understand you're not here to serve them, but to rule alongside them. They'll make space, offer alliances, acknowledge your sovereignty because they're secure enough in their own. Those are your allies, not the ones who resist your rising, the ones who celebrate it, the ones who understand that power isn't zero-sum, that your throne rising doesn't require theirs to fall, that there's room for multiple rulers who govern from authenticity instead of force. Not everyone who approaches you is genuine. Some are testing, some are infiltrating, some are pretending to recognize your authority while secretly trying to undermine it. That's why there's a test, not one they administer. One reality administers, a filter that separates authentic from pretense, truth from manipulation, aligned from misaligned. The test is simple. Do they enhance your power or drain it? Do they support your throne or subtly undermine it? Do they celebrate your sovereignty or try to make you doubt it? Do they respect your boundaries or constantly push against them? Your throne requires protection, not walls, discernment, not isolation, boundaries. You need to recognize who's genuinely aligned with your rising and who's trying to harvest your energy while preventing your full emergence. Some will fit perfectly, like the glass slipper. They'll recognize your frequency and match it. They'll enhance your power instead of competing with it. They'll add to your kingdom instead of trying to conquer it. Those are your court, your council, your allies, your true connections. Others won't fit, no matter how much they try, no matter how much they pretend. The frequency will be off, the energy will drain, the interaction will feel forced. That's not judgment, that's information. Not everyone is meant for your kingdom. That's okay. They have their own throne to claim, their own court to build, their own mission to fulfill. Don't force connections that don't fit naturally. Don't tolerate energy that depletes you out of obligation. Don't allow access to people who undermine your authority while claiming to support it. Your throne is sacred. Your kingdom is precious. Your energy is valuable. Protect it ruthlessly but without hatred. It's not personal. It's structural. The coronation moment. There's a moment coming, maybe it already passed, where you fully own it, where you stop questioning whether you deserve the throne, where you stop doubting your right to power, where you stop seeking external validation for your internal knowing. That moment is your coronation, not a ceremony, a recognition. You recognize your own authority, you validate your own power, you crown yourself, because that's the only coronation that matters. Any crown placed by external hands can be removed by external hands, but a crown you place on your own head, that's permanent, that's unshakable, that's sovereign. The old thrones required external validation. They needed others to recognize their authority. They depended on ceremony and tradition and bloodlines and systems to legitimize their power. That's why they're falling, because when those systems collapse, their authority evaporates. It was never theirs. It was borrowed. It was dependent. It was conditional. Your throne doesn't work that way. Your authority is internal, self-recognized, self-validated, self-generated. It doesn't depend on anyone else's opinion. It doesn't require external permission. It doesn't need systems to support it. It exists because you exist. It's inherent, intrinsic, undeniable. That's why it threatens the old order, because it can't be controlled, can't be granted or withheld, can't be manipulated through reward and punishment. Your power doesn't come from them, so they can't take it away. Your throne isn't in their kingdom, so they can't determine who sits on it. You're creating a new kingdom, one with different rules, different values, different structure, one where power comes from authenticity instead of force, where authority comes from alignment instead of control, where thrones are claimed by those who've done the inner work instead of those who inherited position. And that kingdom, it's rising, alongside you, built from the consciousness of everyone who's gone through the same transformation, who've faced the same darkness, who've done the same work, who've claimed their own authority. You're not alone on your throne. You're part of a new order, a network of sovereign rulers who don't compete because they understand abundance, who don't control because they trust alignment, who don't force because they know authentic power doesn't require force. The old kingdom was built on hierarchy. One person was at the top, one person was at the bottom. Power flowed in one direction. Control provided order. Fear kept people in line, and it has been this way at all levels. Your chosen kingdom does not operate in this manner. It is built upon networks, connections between, mutual support, power based on cooperation. Each throne is sovereign but connected. Each ruler is independent but in cooperation. Each kingdom is unique but harmonious, like a great harmony of harmony and awareness. I know with all my heart that you feel this, because our hearts flow from the same water. This is not democracy. It is not a system where everyone has an equal voice. It is a system where everyone has their own authority. It is a system where everyone claims their own throne. It is a system where everyone governs their own space, and these spaces cooperate because harmony is stronger than conflict. The old rulers cannot understand this. They only know competition, conquest, hoarding. taking from others to gain more for themselves. They see power as limited. They see thrones as scarce. They see authority as a zero-sum game. You know differently. You have learned that power increases exponentially when shared with harmonious consciousness. You have learned that thrones are infinite because there is a throne that every person can claim. You have learned that authority shrinks when obtained by force, but expands when used with originality. This is the new paradigm. Not everyone will understand it. The old order will resist it. Those invested in hierarchy will fight it. Those who benefit from the current structure will attempt to maintain it. Let them. Your job isn't to convince them. Your job is to build, to claim your throne, to rule your kingdom, to connect with other sovereign rulers, to create the new structure through embodiment instead of arguing about it. Because here's the secret. The old thrones are already fallen. They just don't know it yet. They're still sitting there, still giving orders, still pretending they have authority. But nobody's listening anymore. The spell is broken. The illusion is shattered. The consent is withdrawn. They're emperors with no clothes, rulers with no kingdom, thrones with no foundation. They just haven't realized it yet, but they will, soon. When enough people have claimed their own thrones, when enough sovereign rulers have emerged, when the new kingdom becomes too obvious to ignore. And you'll already be established, already ruling, already creating, already manifesting the reality you choose instead of accepting the reality they impose. The eternal reign. Here's what they never told you about thrones. Real thrones don't rest on conquest. They rest on creation. They're not maintained through force. They're maintained through contribution. They don't require subjects. They attract willing participants. Your throne isn't about ruling people. It's about ruling yourself, mastering your own consciousness, directing your own energy, creating your own reality. That's the kingdom. Your mind, your emotions, your choices, your manifestations. When you rule that kingdom effectively, when you master that domain, external power follows naturally, not because you seek it, because you embody it. People recognize mastery. They respond to sovereignty. They're drawn to authentic authority. You don't need to conquer. You need to create. You don't need to control. You need to align. You don't need to force. You need to flow. That's how your throne stays stable, how your kingdom stays strong, how your authority stays undeniable. The old rulers exhausted themselves maintaining power through force. Your reign is effortless because it's aligned with reality. They fought against evolution. You flow with it. They resisted change. You embrace transformation. They tried to preserve what was. You create what's becoming. That's why your throne is eternal, not in duration, in essence, because it's built on principles that don't change. Authenticity, sovereignty, alignment, consciousness, truth. Those don't expire. Those don't get outdated. Those don't require updating. Your kingdom evolves, but your authority remains. Your methods adapt, but your power stays consistent. Your expression changes, but your essence stays constant. That's eternal reign, not ruling forever in one form, remaining sovereign across all forms. You're not done transforming. The throne you claim today will evolve into something greater tomorrow. The kingdom you build this year will expand next year. The power you embody now will deepen with time. That's not weakness, that's aliveness. Static thrones crumble, rigid rulers fall, fixed kingdoms collapse. But flowing sovereignty, adapting authority, evolving power, that lasts, that grows, that thrives. You're not claiming a throne to stay comfortable. You're claiming it to have the foundation for continuous growth. You're not ruling a kingdom to maintain status quo. You're ruling it to evolve it continuously. You're not embodying power to stop changing. You're embodying it so you can transform from strength instead of weakness. The old thrones feared change, feared evolution, feared transformation, because they knew change would expose their weakness, would reveal their illegitimacy, would destroy their illusion. Your throne welcomes change, invites evolution, embraces transformation, because you're not pretending, you're not maintaining illusion. You're not hiding weakness. You're authentic, powerful, real, and reality adapts. Truth evolves. Authenticity transforms. So claim your throne knowing it will change. Own your kingdom knowing it will expand. Embody your power knowing it will deepen. That's not uncertainty. That's potential. That's possibility. That's a live power instead of dead monument. The old thrones are demolished. Stone and dust. Illusion revealed. Structure collapsed. And from that destruction, something new emerges. Something real, something authentic, something that can't be destroyed because it's not built on illusion. Your throne, your kingdom, your power, rising not from the ashes of the old, rising from within you, where it always was, waiting for the old illusions to fall so the real power could finally emerge. The crown isn't coming. It's already on your head. You're just starting to feel its weight, starting to recognize your authority, starting to own your sovereignty. The throne isn't being built, it's already there. You're just starting to sit in it, starting to rule from it, starting to create from it. The kingdom isn't being established, it already exists. You're just starting to see it, starting to recognize your domain, starting to understand what you govern. Everything you needed to rule, you already have. Everything required to reign, already present. Everything necessary to transform, already within. The old thrones are demolished. Your throne is rising. Not someday. Right now. Not when you're ready. You're ready now. Not when circumstances align. They're aligning as you claim. This is your moment, your emergence, your coronation, your reign beginning. The throne is yours, the crown is placed, the kingdom awaits your rule. Now SIT, now reign, now create. You're not becoming the chosen one, you are the chosen one, you always were. You just forgot, you just got lost in their kingdom. You just accepted their definition of power. But you remember now, you see clearly now, you understand fully now. The old thrones are gone, your throne is here, and there's no more waiting, no more preparing, no more questioning. Just ruling, just creating, just being what you actually are. Chosen, crowned, sovereign, finally. But here's what nobody tells you about claiming thrones. The initial recognition is euphoric. The first taste of power is intoxicating. The early days of sovereignty feel like finally coming home. And then comes the integration, the part where you have to live as the person on the throne, where you have to make decisions with real consequences, where you have to hold authority even when you doubt yourself, where you have to maintain sovereignty even when it's uncomfortable. Most people fail here. For a moment they seize the throne, then they retreat. They return to slavery because it is familiar. They retreat to shrink because expansion makes them feel very vulnerable. They abandon their kingdoms because governance requires responsibilities they are not ready to take on. But you have overcome failure just by watching this video and become the owner of the throne. Now accept the throne. Share the video with those you want to awaken, and then view the other message that appears on the screen.